Looking at Beijing with a bird's eye view, we tend to forget the tremendous changes the city has experienced. In contrast to fickle human beings, animals are always drawn toward the places where they have lived for generations. On the other hand, animals can adapt to new environments more quickly than humans. This is not contradictory. In fact, they simply follow the laws of nature by adapting to the changes brought about by the city. Some have left, while others were destined to make the city their home. No matter how the city changes, the animals strictly abide by their ancient natural timetable. Let's meet and reunite with this ancient city. Beijing Faiyuan Temple, located in the southwest of Beijing's historical area, was built in the 7th century AD, destroyed and rebuilt several times over the past 1,300 years. This temple is now the residence of the Chinese Buddhist Academy. It's home to all kinds of people, from the Academy's teachers to students, laypersons to volunteers, as well as their animal neighbors. The bell rings, indicating it's lunchtime. But there is no need to rush. At Faiyuan Temple, everything must go through a ritual. The pillars in front of the monk's dining hall are called the serving table. After reciting the scriptures, the master puts some rice there to show Buddha's sympathy for all creatures. Of course, it's also lunch for the birds. After washing the dishes and chopsticks, they will leave the tap on for a while, as everyone knows that cats like to drink running water. Being together 24/7, the people and cats in Faiyuan Temple get to know each other very well. But there is only one thing that confuses everyone. Who were these cats in the past? And why did they come to Faiyuan Temple?
在我的印象中，我好像记得我小的时候，我想在野外去找到一只小猫，根本我是看不到的。可现在你随处都可以看到流浪猫。咪咪，咪咪，过来来，咪咪，来。
Liao Tingting knows them best, but she only knows that these cats used to live with people in nearby bungalows and courtyards. When these places were demolished and renovated, the people have moved away, but the cats were left behind.
我刚开始发现它的时候，它是可壮实可胖的一只猫了，没有口炎。因为它们在外头流浪时间久了以后，这个细菌什么的话，就是它的免疫机能可能要弱一点的话，可能就得这个病了。没事，它还挺配合的。
These little guys are afflicted with stomatitis, which is an infectious disease of the mouth that's difficult to cure.
它那个牙齿就像我理解的，就会特别疼痛，然后呢，它就是觉得就想用这，它不会说嘛，就想用爪子去抓，但它又抓不了。
It took humans tens of thousands of years to completely domesticate the ancestors of cats from the wild. And now they are abandoned back into the wild. Between these actions, it is a huge change that is difficult to adapt to, either for cats or our environment. We have various excuses for abandoning them, but the results are the same. Starvation, diseases, over-reproduction, and extremely high mortality rates. Although it is difficult to protect themselves, cats are the scariest natural enemies of most animals in the city. Domestic cats are usually even better at hunting than big cats in the wild. Around 500 million birds are estimated to be killed by cats worldwide every year, but neither birds nor cats should pay such a price for human mistakes. Yet, there is little humans can do to correct this mistake. In addition to feeding them, Liu Ting Ting and other volunteers also conduct a TNR, trap and neuter program.
15年了吧，不停的绝育，不停的，可是流浪猫数量没有减少，就是在一个恶性的循环，不停的抓，不停的绝育，不停的犯规。所以说这个东西，如果人们不停止去抛弃，我们即使做再多，就是根本没有解决什么问题。
While the cats in Faiyuan Temple look better off than others on the streets, there is no way to protect them from bad luck. According to the statistics of the monks, more than a dozen cats have gone missing or died this year. Winter is coming, and another stray cat has come to the temple gate. We don't know why it left home. It looks healthy and may have just been abandoned if we had to guess. As the temperature gradually drops, armies of birds arrive in Beijing, one after another. This is a majestic comeback that happens daily. It seems they go to work and get off every day, just like us. In the evening, thousands of crows, coming from all sides, gather in the same direction. Beijing's city centre. Although their days are repetitive, the cautious crows strictly follow specific rules. They fly to a high place, one after another, to confirm safety before landing on the branches to stay overnight. Over 10 hours later, when people start their day, the crows have disappeared altogether. We can't help wondering why the crows come to Beijing, where they go during the day, and why they are all crowded in the city's centre at night. No bird is as common and mysterious as the crow, but crows are perhaps not so complicated. The garbage generated by nearly 30 million people in Beijing will be concentrated and transported daily, finally arriving at several large garbage treatment centres around Beijing. This landfill is located on the outskirts, many kilometres outside Beijing's city centre. These streets are still empty in the early morning, but the crows have already set off. They track the movement of garbage in the air with their keen vision and sense of smell. Finally, they arrive at their true destination, which they have migrated tens of thousands of miles to find. They can find everything they need here. They have tasted the dinners of every household and the dishes of every restaurant in Beijing. After a feast, they head back to the warm city. Above Wanshou Road, crows are enjoying the warm air from the subway exit. Beijing may be ancient, but it's still a metropolis. Due to the urban heat island effect, the temperature here is at least 5 degrees Celsius higher than in the suburbs. The closer to the centre, the warmer it is. There is no warmer or safer place than perching on a tall, century-old tree with thousands of your peers while watching the bright and busy traffic below. In the entirety of Beijing, there are only a few such places. Any city would face problems if it suddenly received tens of thousands of visitors, but the night conceals everything. But that all changes once the day breaks. No one will like this gift. As many people have said, crows carry garbage, though they transport it from suburbs to urban areas. Crows may not be civilized, but their IQ is exceptional among birds. Like people, crows know how to share and cooperate rather than fighting and dying for food. As a result, we are used to having various associations with crows. Sometimes they are perceived as embodying wisdom, but others view them as trouble and a bad omen. Children don't think so. They are young with an instinctive and indiscriminate closeness to animals. They yell along with the crows. It's harsh and noisy, but they seem to have found good partners. The children don't know whether the crows are good or bad. Adults have their own preferences and aesthetics, but these are not important for crows. Whether you like it or not, they will come back next winter. It was time for the crows to leave Beijing in March, but they insisted on staying. They have remained in南海子throughout the winter, freeloading on food off the Milu deer. For more than 20 years, Zhong Jianyu has witnessed the birth of many Milu deer and watched them grow day by day. Zhong wants to take another look after work as a farewell. The Milu deer don't know it yet, but they are about to leave Beijing on a special migration.
OK， 行了，等着吧。
Milu deer have lived in the Yangtze River basin for thousands of years. Until 100 years ago, the royal garden in Nanhaizi, Beijing, became their last habitat in China. Floods and wars are primary reasons as to why the Milu have become extinct in China. However, some Milu are still scattered overseas. In 1985, 22 Milu came to Nanhaizi from Warburn Abbey Deer Park in Britain. Zhong Jianyu and his colleagues have spent more than 20 years helping the last 22 Milu in China to revitalize their population. But more is needed. Today, 30 Milu will return to their ancestral territory, the wetlands of the Yangtze River Basin. But for these animals born in Beijing, it is just a strange and distant place. Ensuring the Milu travel safely for thousands of kilometers is no easy task. Tranquilizing, transporting, awakening. Anything wrong with these steps will endanger the Milu.
放不下就往外放。啊，好。别往里放了，不好抬，让它顺着点儿。就往外放就行。
Zhong Jianyu and his colleagues raced against time with great caution. In the evening, 30 Milu successfully woke up one after another. Zhong climbed to his car's roof to wave goodbye to them once again. He knows best that this unnatural migration is full of danger for them.
每次输出对于鹿来说是一个生命的考验，每次都是这样。 受到这么强的应激，它的抵抗力会下降，那么就会出现内部存在，站不起来，又不能够及时治疗的话，人物就慢慢就酸中毒就会死亡。
2 days later, 28 Milu started their new life in Poyang Lake. But despite losing 2 of them, Zhong had no time to attend to his sadness.
那个鹿在那个倒的柳树根底下，它就在那躺着啊。
A female Milu showed signs of dystocia, difficult birth. If it lasts too long, the lives of the mother and the baby will be in danger. Zhong must intervene.
它是昨晚上生的，时间长了，还没生出来。
The doe has been saved, but the fawn was lost. One life is lost when another is born. A doe has left the herd and goes to a quiet corner, an indicator of giving birth. Restless, she has tried to stand up many times, only to fall with exhaustion. A fawn is finally born. It must quickly learn to stand, to search for food, and to survive. A few years later, it will leave Beijing like its companions and never come back. The trajectory of urban animals' life is always changing silently before we notice it. Many don't know when so many mallards came to Hohai Lake. Early morning is the quietest time in Hohai, an area known for its nightlife. Residents eat breakfast, do morning exercises, chit-chat, and greet each other. Likewise, the mallard ducks in Srachahai also greet each other, chit-chat, do morning exercises, and eat breakfast. In truth, Hohai is not suitable for mallard ducks. They feed in the water, but cannot always stay in it. They need to go ashore, but steep and slippery rock walls make it hard for them to climb up, rest, take shelter, and dry their feathers. Settling here was out of the question until a floating island appeared by the shore. It was built by Chu Xisheng 18 years ago, and the mallards have settled in Shichahai since then.
2000年的4月30号，我来到码头呢，是这公司赔得一塌糊涂，给工人的工资都是借钱发的。有一天我在码头啊，看见天空啊，有2只大鸟，擦着水面，盘旋几圈了，落到水里了。为什么我记得那么清楚啊？对生活呀和对今后啊，未来都没希望。在那时候，这一对野鸭的飞翔，真的对我心灵是一种震撼。人没有翅膀，你飞不起来，但是呢，人的思想不能被禁锢。
Chu didn't expect that more mallards would come to Shichahai in winter.
那年冬天呢，就这对野鸭呀，又招来了30-40对，多的时候把这个小猪排压的都进水了。给野鸭就给这个60只野鸭做一个大点了，4米乘6米。野鸭岛是从那。
Shichahai freezes over every winter. Chu Xisheng wanted to keep a piece of water unfrozen for the mallard ducks to search for food.
哎呀，昨天晚上气温这么低，水泵倒坏了。
The water pump can keep water from freezing, but sometimes Chu is on his own. A thin layer of ice will form again minutes after the ice is broken. All Chu could do is keep paddling until the sunrise, when the temperature rose.
造浪，这个波浪就能把这冰慢慢的撅开了。你看啊。
The duck houses will be worn out over time, but there were no such small houses on the island at the beginning.
孩子出于好奇比赛，看谁砍鸭子砍得准，也不能天天的在这看着。所以我想呢，给它做成那个卡通一点，就是一人呢做成小房子。等孩子们再来的时候吧，看哎，那个谁给鸭子还盖房呢？告诉这些孩子们啊，动物它应该有自己的家。
Later, Chu made a wooden signboard for the island saying, "Wild ducks have homes." Mallard Island brings increased attention, thus increasing stress and responsibility.
曲老板真的不容易，其中包括了很多甜酸苦辣，比孩子都亲。那孩子上学什么，他顾不上，这可是真的啊。
要不我们那小姑娘小的时候，那天有个记者问她，说这是你爸爸呀？哎，我们小姑娘说那不是我爸，他是鸭爸爸，5岁时候。
3 months later, Shichahai is in spring again. After learning that the ducklings are about to be born, Chu's daughter comes back.
姑娘。
When Chu was working on the floating island, his daughter was only 5. She followed him on the dock every day, and now she is a college student.
记得这个我记得，天天都照顾鸭子，然后照顾我，一照顾我就生病，然后照顾我还没照顾鸭子照顾得好，所以就鸭爸爸。
说看2天就给感冒了，是吧？
Although they don't see each other often, it's like returning to the old days, once they get on the boat with the mallards. Because of the sudden drop in temperature, the mother duck would maintain her pace without rushing to hatch the ducklings. Although they didn't see the ducklings, the father and the daughter didn't care. They have a lot to talk about.
你看野鸭岛这现在多少鸭子在孵蛋啊！有人救助了3只小野鸭送来了，后来有1只受凉生病了，还有2只活得好好的呢。咱看看啊。啊！
这好。
你看它的眉毛、眼睛黄的，啊。
这个脖子好细啊。
不是，就是那个小母洲啊，
粘脖子。
粘脖子。
角蹼类的动物啊，这个水应该是属于角蹼，环水鱼它们，这是它们的家园。
Some animals come to stay in Beijing, while others are destined to leave. The barn swallows are the best favoured and received animals by Beijingers. This is not an exaggeration at all. The construction of an alley near Xidan was even suspended because of the swallows. No more than 200 meters long, the alley is home to more than a dozen nests of barn swallows. Some have even built their nests indoors and adapted themselves to the routine of the residents. They enter the house on time to rest at night before the doors are closed and head out hunting for food when they open in the morning. Hatched 2 weeks ago, these 4 little swallows eat a lot. Their parents need to go out for food frequently. Yet they don't know their little nest touches the hearts of many people.
然后也是无意间那么一抬头，哎，就发现一窝小燕子，因为要整治嘛，所以。
But rescue is not the best way.
所以就想。
Little swallows will be forced to separate from their families and will no longer be able to live freely. Construction has to start soon. A decision must be made. After discussion, Xie Haishang of the Beijing Wildlife Rescue and Rehabilitation Center decided to make a risky attempt. He wants to move the nest. As long as the parents can find the new home, the family can live on as usual.
这2个现在放了1个，咱们好像是，要土的话给它。
But if they can't find it, the little swallows may be abandoned by their parents.
它窝太散了，啊，它窝太散了。 直接拿就散了。这种窝直接拿就散了。记不下来。
The swallow's nest is so fragile that it will be damaged with the slightest careless move. The last and most critical step is to wait for the swallows to find their children and feed them again.
3-5分钟未有为，3-5分钟未有为，长着长。
10 minutes later, the parents come back. They want to feed their offspring, but can't find them. The residents are even more anxious than the mother swallow.
小叶子拿起来让它看一下，然后架上去。就这一个方向。哎，过去了，看见了。
Following the children's cry, the mother has found their new home. The family is finally reunited, and the construction starts again. A week later, the little swallows can come out of the nest. Their old home is gone. The residents watch them every day to see them learn to fly and leave. The swallows won't remember the move, but they will remember this alley and return here again next spring. These little ones are full of good luck, due to the love of the locals. The regular visits of the swallows result from the tacit agreement they have reached with Beijing over hundreds of years. The Xiaoyue River, next to the ruins of the Yuan city wall, has been flowing quietly for more than 700 years since the Yuan dynasty. But today it suddenly became lively because of an unexpected guest. A young female Harlequin duck. It has caused a stir in the city as it's the first time people have seen the bird in Beijing. She shouldn't have come to Beijing. She should be ready to give birth near the Arctic Circle if she hadn't been left behind. The bird got lost in her migration, the worst possible scenario for a migratory bird. It's like being alone on a deserted island without knowing what to live on and how to get home. No one can tell her directions. Most of the onlookers are taking pictures, but one of them uses a pen instead of a camera. Zhang Yu is a nature illustrator. It takes less than a second to take a photo, but Zhang Yu needs more time. Through continuous observation, Zhang Yu will always take careful notice to gain information from the animals.
刚开始看的时候，因为一周前了吧，我来拍过一次，因为看的尾巴还是有的呀。虽然感觉那个毛不是特好，但是尾巴还是全的，因为我回看照片也是全的。今天我在弄这个时候，发现这个尾巴只有两边的变成一个叉了，而且两边的都不是很完好。至于是不是常规，是不是正常的，我不知道。但是这个怪呢，
The disappeared tail feathers made Zhang Yu a little worried. Will human beings' attention bring additional harm to the Harlequin duck? accidentally, Zhang Yu discovered the truth.
这尾巴真像哎，像我们这儿那个。那看来就是一个雌性幼鸟的第2年就磨损旧羽换上新羽这么一个交替的一个过程，应该是，要不然不能这么完全的很吻合，跟这个世原巨熊就日本这个鸭子这树上。
A few days later, the Harlequin duck grew new tail feathers. Maybe it's ready to leave. No one knows where the Harlequin duck went or whether it's still alive. I don't know why it originally left its family and found this ancient water area from above Beijing and miraculously survived. The Harlequin duck left Zhang Yu with a few precious sketches, but for most people, the unexpected encounter with the Harlequin duck is just a one-off. Promotional banners protecting Harlequin ducks have been taken down. The park went back to being as quiet as usual. Other animals would arrive only when the city is going through dramatic changes. To the north of the Yuan Dynasty City Wall Relics Park is a huge green space between the ancient central axis and modern skyscrapers. Grey herons, a kind of large wading bird, are nesting here. It is surprising for these extremely timid birds to have their chicks in such a high-profile area, let alone in such a conspicuous place. The Olympic Forest Park is the largest green space in downtown Beijing. But more than 10 years ago, it was still a 500-year-old village called Wali, at the northern end of Beijing's central axis. The low-lying terrain here is a rare land of abundance in Beijing and a favorite environment spot for herons. In 2001, with cheers throughout Beijing, Wali Village was turned into the Olympic Village. More than 20,000 people were relocated. More than 10 years later, the village and wastelands have turned into vast urban forests, a space where people and animals live together. Although the habitat has changed drastically, grey herons have not left home. There are too many things to do when raising chicks. Grey herons, who usually live alone, had to start living in groups, even if it meant several families had to share the same tree. This also allows grey herons to form stable families. They can live in the same place with the same partner for many years, as long as they are not disturbed. A month later, some have given birth in the dense branches, while others are still waiting. At night, another animal, the cicadas, have just finished their long hibernation and have woken up in the Olympic Forest Park. It has been more than 10 years since their last activity. They have been hiding underground. Today is the second time this cicada has seen where it lives. After so many years, a lot of changes have taken place outside. It may not recognize it anymore, but it still remembers its mission, climbing from underground to the treetop. The mere 10-meter distance is a long and dangerous migration for cicadas. If they accidentally fall or fail to turn over in time, they will become dinner for the ants, despite 10 years of waiting. The once protective shell is now a bondage. Emerging is a battle, and the enemy is near. Some cicadas are reborn, while others fall short of success. The presumptuous chirping of cicadas is a romantic love song and a prelude to death. The lifespan of cicadas is only about 2 weeks. They must rush to mate, lay eggs in the branches, and die. In autumn, its young will burrow into the ground and begin the long wait of hibernation all over again. They will repeat the process many years later and start the 10-meter migration again. If they manage to climb to the treetops, they may see what the city will look like at that time in the future.